Ladies and gentlemen, a living legend, Adrienne Barbeau. One more time.
Nice in here, but oh man.
Yeah, downstairs it's pretty, it's cold. But in film in general, I mean, did you start on Maude? Or were you
No, I
before
started
that?
on Broadway. I was
Broadway.
the original Rizzo in Grease.
Really?
And before that I was Huddle and Fiddler on the Roof. I was a replacement, but I started, my first job was 1963. I entertained the armed forces in South Korea and Asia and all over, you know.
Thank you for that.
What in those days was called the Orient. And then I went to New York, and my first Broadway show was in 1968. That was Fiddler, with Bette Midler. Wow. Bette played Seitel, and I played Huddle. And then Grease, and then Grease took me to LA for Maude. My first feature was The Fog.
Really?
I had done, I had met John Carpenter on How Strong Is She?
That's Chris's mic.
How Strong Is She? Oh my God, there
got
we
it?
go.
All right.
Yeah. I met John when he interviewed me to do a role in Someone's Watching Me.
Yes.
Which was his first studio film.
That was
It
a
was
TV
for
movie
television.
as
It was
well,
for
right?
TV,
Yeah.
yeah. And then he wrote a script with me in mind and said, you know, would you do this? And it was, it was at the time of the China Syndrome and coming home and the women's right movement, you know, the Equal Rights Amendment and everything. And he handed me this horror film, you know, and I had never seen a horror film in my life.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, but, you know, it's not socially significant. But I did it, and thank God. But that was my first feature. Well, actually, Maude was filmed like a play, just like a stage play. We rehearsed for 4.5 days, and then we did the first show at 5 o'clock, straight through. You know, we didn't stop. Unless somebody really went up, and then we would stop and just pick it up again. And then we broke for dinner, and the writers went up to their writer's room and rewrote everything that didn't work and changed this joke and moved that around and cut stuff because we were too long. And then we went back out and did it again in front of a live audience. So it wasn't that dissimilar from Broadway.
Do you have any questions for your mom?
Yeah, where's his insurance card?
She wants to know where your insurance card is. Wait, hang on. Wait, hold it, hang on, I'm gonna put you on speaker, hang on.
No, it's that one.
It's this one.
It's that one.
Water, you there?
Walker.
Okay, can you all hear him?
Yeah.
Okay, ask your question.
The first question is, how many people are listening?
More than you can imagine.
Oh man, so the question is, do I have a question for my mom? That's the question?
Yes, that's the question.
Why did you call?
What do you call it? What can we do for you, Walker?
I mean, I had nothing you guys can do for me. Have a great weekend.
All right, he wants you to know you have a great weekend.
Is that a son or not?
That's a good, everyone applaud. Okay. Now, Walker, the question is, what are you going to do for your mom?
Yeah.
I have a lot of giving back to do for them.
Yes, you do.
Oh, sweet.
Walker, thank you for the sweetest moment of the weekend. Your mom will call you back.
Oh, it was, well, because we met on Someone's Watching Me, so I knew him first as a director. He's wonderful. I mean, you know, I trust him implicitly. And then when we were married before we did The Fog, and I know the first day of filming, you know, we were both going to be really professional. We took separate hotel rooms, and, you know, we were really going to be professional. I didn't want anybody thinking I was going to get, you know,
Nepotism, something like that.
I was going to get better
Right.
treatment than anybody else, although we were all like a big family on that show. But about halfway through the first day, John came to me and he said, "I'm not having any fun." And I said, "Neither am I. Let's just go back to being ourselves." And the only disagreement we ever had as an actor and director was on The Fog. It was in the scene right after the driftwood has caught fire, and I've put it out. And John said to me, "Okay, have a seat and we'll do the scene." And I said, "Sit down? Oh, John, I don't think she'd sit down. She's she's too upset to sit down." He said, "Okay, stand up and let's do the scene." And that was the only time we ever disagreed. One of my closest and dearest friends, and I think I was the one who introduced Tom. My favorite Tom Atkins story is Tom was dating one of my Grease cast members.
Really? Which one?
Garn Stevens, who then did Halloween 3.
Right.
Garn was, I haven't seen it, but I think she gets killed in the bed or something.
Very brutally.
Anyway, and they had just started dating, and it was Thanksgiving. And so I was having Thanksgiving dinner. And the turkey took forever to get cooked. And when we all sat down to dinner,
you do realize that's now slang for, like, smoking pot. The turkey's taking forever to cook, if you know what I mean.
I mean, literally, it just took a long time. I don't know what I was doing, but I wasn't doing a good job cooking that turkey. And when we all sat down to dinner, Tom was gone. He had gotten upset and gone out and got pizza. So I introduced Tom to John, and I guess that was the first film they did together, The Fog. I think it was, yeah. My first introduction to Donald was when I was doing Fiddler on Broadway, and he was doing Man in the Glass Booth in the theater right next door. Now, my dressing room was separated from his stage by 2 huge brick walls, and maybe there was an alleyway, I don't remember. But every night I'd be in my dressing room and I could hear Donald doing Man in the Glass Booth on what is that? Who's going? What's over there? And then when we finally met, Donald was, nobody could make me laugh like Donald could. I mean, he just had that dry British wit, and he would invariably, right before my take, say something where I would just be, John would say, "Okay, we're rolling." Wait, I can't do this, because he made me laugh so much. And I do remember him saying to John that he could have had an entirely different career had he not had, and I don't know if this is an exact quote, maybe I'm exaggerating, but had he not had 5 wives to support. Meaning he had to take a lot of stuff that came along because he had bills to pay. But I didn't know who George Romero was, even though I was married to John at the time. But and I read the script and I can't do this. This is vile. This is like, oh my God, this is gross and this is vile. And Tom Atkins had already signed to do the role. And so I called Tom and I said, "Tommy, you're gonna do this movie?" He said, "Oh, Adie, you don't get it. It's a cartoon. It's gonna be a comic book. It's gonna be very stylized." And John is saying to me, "You're gonna turn down the opportunity to work with George Romero? Don't you know who George Romero is, So I've never been drunk because I don't like I don't like it, I don't like it.
So apparently everyone thought you were just shit-faced on set.
Play a good drunk.
I just showed up with George and I said to him, "Look, I'm gonna do what I think I should be doing, and if it's not right, you better send me home because I'm out of my element here." And truly, Billy is George's creation. because unlike John, who said do less, George was, no, you can be bigger, you can be bigger. Are you kidding me? You know, you can be bigger. And I finally thought, well, you know what? He's the director. My most challenging role was not a film role. It was
This particular panel in Walker Call.
I did a 2-character play off Broadway in 2005, I think, called The Property Known as Garland. And I played Judy Garland. And that was the most challenging. But of the film roles, well, there were ones that were challenging because of the physical production. I wrote a memoir in 2006 or something called There Are Worse Things I Could Do, after the song that I sang in Greece. And in there is a chapter called The Rat Movie. I took the Rat Movie because it was filming in Moscow, and I had always wanted to go to Russia. Landed on the day of an attempted coup, where they had fired on Parliament, and the producer took me to my apartment and said, well, you stay here. I don't know, maybe we're having civil war. I don't know. And they're firing outside my window, you know. My husband is calling my agent saying they're firing, which is, you know. And this movie was, we were shooting at it had been a castle that was being built for Catherine the Great, maybe 30 kilometers outside of Moscow in the winter. The castle had no roof, it had no windows, it was just, we were out there with no toilet, Pravda for toilet paper.
It's just like the pandemic.
I'm going out into the forest in my gown with my jeans and my silk underwear underneath the jeans and the gown on top of the jeans with Pravda to use the forest to go to the bathroom. I mean, it was it was memorable. It was very funny in the end. And for the life of me, all I remember, I called it the Rat Movie. I can't even remember what the name of it was.
But that was the most challenging.
Oh, and I had to work with rats. And they told me that, you know, they were, there would be 50 circus-trained rats.
Oh boy.
And when I got there were 16 rats that were alive, and the rest were all dead. And so after every scene, they had to move the rats around to make them look like they were alive. And the only thing these rats had been trained to do was to eat anything that smelled like fish. So before the scenes where the rats had to swarm all over me, they took fish heads and squeezed the juice all over the costume. And the rats swarmed all over me. I mean, it was, but I got a great chapter out of it for my book.